Hey, ladies, we want you to mark your calendar for October 5th through the 12th, 2025, because we're taking you on an epic pilgrimage to Crete.
That's right. We're doing a beautiful retreat called Awakening the Goddess, where we are going to nurture ourselves from the inside out. You're going to be learning all kinds of sacred sexual practices from both the Taoist and the Tantric perspective. We'll be doing yoga every day. We'll be going and visiting sacred sites and really harnessing the energy of the primordial goddess, meaning the original divine feminine energy that is so alive on this island. I was just there last year and it was a game changer for me. And I was like, Leah, we got to put together the retreat that I want to go to. So this is it.
Yeah, there's something very special about women coming together and healing and awakening each other's Shakti to really resolve some of the blocks, some of the hurts, some of the traumas from the past, to shed that dead weight so that you can become more alive. You can become more magnetic, cultivating trust, cultivating vulnerability, cultivating presence, coming into a new state of consciousness in the arms of a group of really amazing women, sisters, and friends you're going to have for a lifetime, including Willow and I. So join us on the plane. Let's get this party started. You can sign up at sexreimagine.com and let's go to Greece, baby.
What if I told you slowing down in the bedroom could actually speed up your life in connection, in pleasure, and in presence? On today's episode of Sex Reimagined, we're diving deep into the art of slow sex. Why taking your time isn't just sensual, it's transformational. From rewiring your nervous system to unlocking deeper intimacy, slowing down doesn't just change your sex life, it changes how you move through the world. So get ready to savor every moment, every sensation, and every heartbeat.
Tune in, turn on, and fall in love with your girls, Leah and Willow.
Welcome to the Sex Reimagined podcast, where sex is shame-free and pleasure-forward. Let's get into the show.
Well, it's time to introduce, I think, something really important, which has to do with a myriad of things. But if we were to start someplace, I think I'd like to start around slow sex. The importance of shifting our mindset when it comes to how we look at sex and how we play with sex, and even how we identify, like, what is sex and how is sex different from foreplay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of our podcast. Sex could be so many different things, but I mean, we all think about sex as penetrative, sex, bumping and grinding, and there's just so much more to it. And Tantra always really is such a huge proponent of slowing things down so that you can actually feel them more. I feel like a lot of times why women don't enjoy sex is it's like they're just being pounded, like they're being used as a masturbation tool, basically, and they can't feel anything. And so slowing things down, foreplay, proper building of arousal of the vulva before you even penetrate is all so crucial and super duper pleasurable. In the giving, you receive so much when you know how to give.
Yeah, jackhammer sex, believe it or not, y'all, is not the best sex. It's actually some of the worst sex I've ever had, especially when it is applied way too early in the arousal process.
Scale, yeah.
It just ends up being like, are you trying to compete with a porn star right now? That sex, watching that on porn isn't even that arousing for at least this estrogen-minded brain.
Right.
Maybe that's hot for dudes, but I know very few women who want jackhammer sex unless they're at a peak point of arousal.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in the real throes of something, but that requires a ton of buildup.
Yeah.
So interesting how, like, I think sometimes what men think of as hot and what women think of as hot is so different in terms of how they want to be fucked. And that makes me kind of sad. I wish we were like in better sync. So,
well, part of the reason we're, I think, so out of sync is because of pornography and that being the main source of education, for men primarily, but also women. And it really is about educating yourself and not just, listening to our podcast, though keep doing that and share it with your friends, but also experiencing what we're talking about. That's the best education. My body has always been my best teacher. And I learn the most through experiencing things, like exploring and playing with different things that I've never done before. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was hot. That turned me on. Or I could leave that, that wasn't really my jam. Not at this point in my journey anyway.
Yeah. So to slow things down, one of the things I've heard Esther Perel say, which really has me noodling, is foreplay starts, and we say, 25 to a half hour, at least for women. But it goes way beyond that. Foreplay starts after the last orgasm.
For the next round of sex.
Yeah. When you think of it like that, it puts you into a mindset shift that makes you want to romance the beloved in a whole new way. That it is a journey. Sex isn't something that we do. Sex is somewhere we go. And so when you think about, wow, foreplay starts at the end of the last orgasm. And when I think about the end of an orgasm, there's usually like we're catching our breath and we're turning towards each other face to face because God knows what body position we were just in for that last orgasm.
Right.
And we're usually like expressing like at least in my case, some kind of gratitude, like, wow, that was amazing, or wow, that was so cool, or wow, oh my gosh, I got to get my sea legs, time to go pee, and then there's usually like a cuddle. There's some sort of transition.
A lot of times there's laughter too, right after an orgasm, this like just joy that cannot be contained, and it just comes out through your laughter and you're just laughing together. And then, just the afterglow of it all, and rolling around and cuddling and kissing and touching and being in intimacy.
Yeah. And I think when we think about, there's this old adage, old metaphor that, women's sexuality is like microwaves or crock pot, and man's sexual energy is like a microwave and a woman's sexual energy is like a crock pot. And so I think so much of our sex and what we understand about sex has been informed through the lens of male sexuality. And there hasn't been enough curiosity about what the lens of female sexuality looks like. And I think this is where this desire for slowness. If you want your female partner to be fucking hot and ready, you got to get more curious about a different approach.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about getting your dick wet and having friction. There's something way more nuanced. And when we start to pay attention to nuance in sex becomes a creative, artistic, curiosity-filled way and approach of going, how can I light up my partner system? How can I take my partner on a ride? And I really love this idea of going on a ride so that it's not just like we're climbing a peak and then we're rushing down, so then it's over. It's an ever ascending journey that's got a lot of peaks and valleys. And when we look at it from that place, then orgasm doesn't have to be like the number one goal, because when orgasm is the only goal, again, we drop nuance.
Yeah.
Like and then we start creating, we're either passing or we're failing. Did everyone come?
Totally.
If it's all about, I just got to come, then we're like, we're missing all this amazing connection.
Yeah.
We're leaving so much connection on the table.
Yeah. We get really myopic when we are goal oriented in sex. It's like we miss everything outside of the tiny little thing that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And, one of the most amazing, hot, spiritual, incredible, penetrative experiences I ever had probably lasted about 4 to 5 minutes from the point of like the tip of the glands to all the way into. It was like a 5-minute entry. It was so slow. But I think what
a 5-minute penetration, you're saying?
Yeah,
from penis to vagina.
Yeah, from the tip to all the way in. It took that long, 4 to 5 minutes. It was long.
Yeah.
It was and it was like, and we were so present, staring into eyes the entire time, and just like just right there. And what was also really hot about it was we hadn't done it before, right? So there was that, and it was like, are we going to do this? Yeah, we're doing it. Okay, here, it was just like the slow and the heat and the buildup. It was yum. But what I want to say about that is I feel like a lot of men can't stay hard. They feel like they need to get in and they need to start jackhammering in order to stay hard.
Yeah. Like they need the friction. Otherwise, they're going to lose their erection, which creates anxiety, which robs it of being playful.
Totally.
And makes it urgent. And then we get pass fail.
Yeah.
And so
how do we get out of that model?
I think what's happening is one becomes so hyper-focused on failing. Mm-hmm. And their penis not operating or functioning the way they need it or want it to be. And then that would result in embarrassment or disappointment, that it becomes hyper-focused. Mm-hmm. Instead of like relaxing, learning how to trust your cock, learning that who you are as a lover is your cock is you're so much more than the performance of your cock, number one. So like remembering that if you can be present, because that's what happens when you become hyper-focused on the performance of your cock and you're going to pass or fail, you're not present anymore.
Right.
And really the element to being a masterful lover starts and ends with your ability to be present and in the moment, and right there creating a sense of attunement with your lover. And so how do your hands feel when you are caressing her head and you've got maybe a fist of her hair near her scalp and you've got another hand caressing the side of her face, or maybe you've got her jaw and you're bringing her in and you're kissing her passionately? Let that be your focus. And trust me, your cock is going to respond, even if it's being still, because it can feel the sexual tension that is starting to build between your bodies. And that's what your cock wants. That's what your cock is going to respond to. It's not going to respond to your fear that things are going too slow. Mm-hmm. If you're in the present moment, you're building sexual tension. Mm-hmm. And so that's a tricky thing to get back to, though, when your mind's already hijacked you.
Let's take a quick break.
Ladies, do you want to explore your sexuality and experience true sexual healing?
The Vaginal Orgasms Masterclass teaches you and your partners how to unlock your full sexual potential and awaken the G-spot, the sacred spot, and the cervix for an unforgettable sexual experience. Would learning how to finally surrender and release grief, fear, and uncertainty benefit your outlook on life, love, and relationships? We certainly think so. Common misconceptions of the G-spot, including its anatomy and function as an erogenous zone, will be covered in this course.
Plus, we're going to teach you 7 different massage strokes for the G-spot that dissolve blocked energy and increase your pleasure tenfold.
We're going to teach you how to locate the sacred spot and the best methods to stimulate it for maximum pleasure.
And you're going to learn about cervical orgasm techniques, which are the most powerful and also often elusive style of climaxing. This class is primarily geared toward women, but men have taken it as well and learned so much about how to pleasure their partners.
So get ready for multiple O's, my friends. And you can get all of that at sexreimagine.com/female-masterclass. And for being a listener of the show, we've got a beautiful coupon code for you. It is 20% off this course. Just type in podcast20, that's all caps, podcast20, and get yourself a great deal on this on-demand course.
Yeah, it definitely can be. My trick for that I'm always helping people with is to go to your senses, exactly what you were just describing. It's like your senses, each one of your physical senses, smell, taste, touch, sight, sound, each one of them is a doorway to the present moment. So which one is an easy doorway for you to stand in? Which one is it? Sound? Can you listen to the sound of her breath? Can you bring that sense to the forefront of your mind so that you can really find an access? And if your cock gets soft in that moment, trust the process and be okay with, find a way to be okay with it in that moment and stay connected to sound. Stay connected to the sound of her breath. Bring your awareness to smell. Smell the scent.
Before we go to smell, I'd like to add something around sound.
Yeah.
I love having rhythmic music on
Yes.
because when I lose presence, and I think sex has so much to do with rhythm
Yeah.
and tempo and like finding your way back in. So when there's music
Music is
and
key.
I want to find myself again, like I want to find the breath, I'll find the breath in the music. And because I want to be in my body, there's something that my body knows around tempo and the pulse and the rhythm and it doesn't matter what kind of music it is. Then I'll just start to slightly sway and move and I'll find my body back there. And now I'm back in my body and now I'm back in the present moment. So
Yeah.
if you think that might help, start thinking about what's the music. And I fortunately, because I have a private practice and I'm working with bodies all the time, I'm attuned to the music to help me with my timing. How much time do I have for that appointment? When are things starting to roll? When do I need to calm the energy down versus when do I want to add more beats to it? And then helping someone else orient to the music so they can tune my instrument, my body. So when two people can start to find a rhythm together, you don't have to manufacture that. If someone else's breath doesn't help you find their rhythm, both of you tune into the music together and find your rhythm together and match
I can't
up.
remember the last time I had sex without music. Like, I really can't remember. It's probably been years. It's probably been like 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
I don't know
Interesting,
how.
right?
I know that I have had sex without music.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as hot as it is now.
Well, music probably makes our sex hotter because we have a rhythm that our body can respond to. It has pitch, it's got frequency, it's got vibration. All of those things resonate to the
In our
frequency of
bodies.
sexual energy.
Yeah.
So,
and not only that, but the heart is the one organ in the body that makes a sound. So there's this like connection that we have to our hearts with sound. It's like, I love the sound of my dog eating his dinner. Like, I just love the sound. My heart opens up. Yeah, it's weird. Like, people love the sound of their kids.
Before.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's a little Willowism for you. I love the sound. People love the sound of their kids' voices. We love the sound of our lovers' voices. We love the sound of certain music. We love the sound of certain birds and things like that. And it opens up our heart when we're paying attention to sound. So that's another nuanced way to get into the present moment. Let's say you're listening to your lover's breath and you're really just tuned into that one sense organ. Notice then how that opens your heart. And guess what, guys? When your heart starts to open, your cock gets hard.
And notice like the type of music that does not turn you on.
Totally. There's
right. Like, it's really interesting too, when you can connect to the music that works, how you can find yourself over and over again. And the minute the wrong song comes on, it's like, oh, that's not it. And you have to
change it.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So what I will do is I will add 2 Spotify playlists that I tend to use in sensual experiences, and you guys can try that on. Maybe it'll open something inside of you, and if it doesn't, that's okay. There's a playlist out there that will.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really, for me, sound is one of my primary sense organs. So it is good to practice on your own and just kind of be like, well, I don't know. I don't even know what my primary sense organ. Spend 5 minutes, 1 minute per sense organ. And just notice, like, if I just really focus on smelling for an entire minute, how does that bring me into presence? Versus if I just really focus on listening for an entire minute, how does that bring me into presence? For me, vision is one of the ones that takes me most out of presence, because then I start thinking, I start labeling, right? Like, oh, that's a tree, that's a thing. And then my mind's, oh yeah, I like tree. Oh, it's good to know about trees. I don't know. I'm giving you an example. Yeah. But men are very visual, generally speaking. And so, so for you guys out there, like, check it out. How is it for you to just look at something for an entire minute? Does it bring you into presence versus smelling or tasting or listening?
I love that you brought that up, because a vision wasn't really ever something that I connect to either, other than in meditation. I like guided visualizations. There's a beautiful kaleidoscope that can take me deeper into an experience when there's a visionary element to it. So like, when I want to relax into a sexual experience and I want to come out of my mind, I like to use my imagination to like bring me into my chakras, and I can visualize my chakras. I like to visualize roots like grounding me to the earth so I can really relax my nervous system, so I can like get comfortable receiving, because receiving hasn't always been easy for me. To get me out of my head, I use sight to get me into my body through visualization. And I often need that in the beginning of a sexual experience, especially because if I've been like on the computer for 5 hours and now it's time to have a tantric date, I struggle with that transition. So I have a set of guided visualizations that ground me into my body. And I use sort of, not that I'm looking outside, I'm looking inside.
Right.
So I use a visionary thing that goes in versus out. But you're right. If I had to look outside, I would be naming thing cobweb in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, like, that would be very distracting.
Yeah.
But now, like when you think about, and this came to me when I started to study the erotic blueprints, and I was looking at the sexual blueprint archetype, because that was the one that I was least connected to. Like porn has really never done it for me. But when I started to imagine if porn could do it for me, what would that be like? And looking at sexuality through the lens of the sexual archetype, where it's more about friction, visual stuff, something got turned on in me. And I was able to go, oh, I want to know how that half lives. Can I make a bridge? And I've been able to make a bridge. So oftentimes I do think of like the teenager boy and like all the penetrative shit that they can imagine that would get them hot. And if I'm the object of their desire, now I have a visual. Now I have a massive turn on. I have adopted the sexual blueprint so thoroughly. Done. I just had to put myself as the object of their desire. Yeah. And I had to heal my judgment around being objectified.
Right.
Now I'm like, I fucking love being objectified.
I think that is if we're talking slow sex and developing your sexuality and being on a sexual exploratory journey, I think that's a big one for a lot of women, is to find a place inside of you that gets turned on by being objectified, because it's always been such a bad thing. Right.
And it's felt bad when it's been unconsensual. Yeah. It is felt bad as a teenager who doesn't understand the whole operation of what's going on in her body. And all of a sudden people are looking at you differently. And some people are being very rude about it. And you don't have a core sense of boundaries. And you're afraid you're going to get in trouble left and right. Like there's a reason why being objectified has felt traumatic. Yeah. But for me, in reclaiming something around all of that, it's I get to be at choice regarding my objectification. I get to ask for it, name it, discover where the corners are inside of me that could be hot. And I think I could have only gotten there through age. And maybe it's because as one gets older, there's a story that says you're less desirable. So there's something about being objectified at this age that turns up my feeling of being desired. So now, like, where I would never have wanted it as a younger person, now as an older person, I'm like, give it all to me.
Well, you are super hot.
To me, baby. You know, and but consent is an interesting player in that. And to bring it back to slow sex, it's like to slowly lift up my dress and reveal a little more slowly every inch of my thighs, right? And then like a look at the panties that I'm wearing, and to then have those panties just curled underneath, and then you're getting a quick little flash of something forbidden, and then like to have a cock get closer and closer and closer to my vulva, and so close that they're like, you got to beg for it, baby, so like wave your cock at me, but you're not going to touch it yet. This all builds sexual tension, and because you're doing it slowly and you're teasing me with it and it's like you're making me want it. Where when sex is fast, you're like jamming it towards me. I don't
Right.
even have enough presence, enough time to want to crave it. I'm just expected to receive something,
Yeah,
and my desire is supposed to be right there. It's not right there.
totally.
Like stoke that fire, make me yearn, make me
Yeah.
beg, make me
build
crave.
the heat slowly. I mean, this
Yeah.
is one of the things that we're always teaching men is to slow down and to become more magnetic. Make her come to you. Don't be
Yeah.
coming at her with your fingertips and your cock tip and your tongue and your everything. You're
Yeah, so
poking
fast.
away.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's too much too fast for most women, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, what you're talking about though, with the lifting of the dress and the slow boy is turning me on. But it's like
Yeah.
you're mixing several of the blueprints there, the energetic,
Mhm.
the sensual, feeling the dress coming up your thighs, right? And the heat
Right.
building in your yoni as like someone's just looking, they're
Right.
not even touching.
Someone's
right?
craving. Yeah.
And wanting.
Crave me.
And then there's the sexual, you know, of like
Of
what?
the parts are going to come together.
Yeah.
And there's going to be friction and there's going to be penetration. And
Yeah.
you just describing like that slow penetration. It's like
Mhm.
when it is so micro slow, when you're not counting the size in inches, but the size in centimeters, because you got a lot more centimeters than you got inches. So let me tell you, like, let me feel every single
That's true.
one.
I love that.
Like, then it's, and then it's like there's a buildup and there's a pulse, right? And then you're really
Mhm.
feeling the pulsation versus everything coming in as a rush. And I'm not saying that fast sex doesn't have a really awesome place. There are times
Yeah.
when you got like 5 minutes, man. Let's run to
Yeah,
the
let's
bathroom.
get
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
just bend over the
Quickies.
sink. And,
We're not
Yeah.
saying do away with quickies.
Yeah,
We're
it's
just saying try
not one or
something
the
else
other.
too.
It's not one or the other. It's all. It's an
Yeah.
and.
Yeah.
And what you're also just illustrated as you sort of mapped out some of the blueprints is all of that is all the touch senses.
Mhm.
Feeling the rise of the skirt against the thighs, feeling the peeling back of the panties, feeling if you bend someone over the sink or the couch or the chair or whatever, the laundry thing, and you're flipping and you're
Wait,
pulling
were you
down
in the laundry
pants.
room recently or something?
Hey, laundry rooms can hold
Who
lots
knew?
of secrets.
There
Okay,
you
if,
go.
if those walls could talk.
Who knew laundry rooms could be so sexy?
Yeah. So really paying attention of the sensation of your skin. Your skin, sometimes you hear us say, in fact, probably all the time you hear us say that the brain is the biggest sex organ. Not true, actually. The skin is the biggest sex organ. And
Biggest
for
organ in the
us to
body.
realize that it's not just the genitals that are erogenous zone, your entire body, every inch of your skin is erogenous.
Mhm.
And so when we're talking about foreplay, how you hold somebody's hand, how just playing with somebody's hair. And one of the things that I think is important because a lot of people who need slow sex are people who've had sexual trauma. And they have overridden a part of what they need. They oftentimes haven't, because they weren't allowed a voice in the
Mhm.
first place due to much of their sexual trauma.
Mhm.
They have a hard time talking about sex. They just know how to put on the brakes, but they've never really discovered their accelerator.
Mm.
And so slow sex is the key to having healing sex.
I love that. Yeah.
And so one of the things, if this is a part of your relationship right now that is feeling fractured, that you feel like you're not having as much sex as you want in your relationship, you may need to help your partner go, here, you put my hand where you want me to touch. And I'll just stay right there. And then you can move my hand when you want me to go somewhere else. You know, to allow your partner to discover where do they want your hands may really delight and surprise them.
And it's also a great way to teach someone how to be receptive, you know, to take their hand and say, stay in your receptivity, stay connected to your breath, stay connected to your inhale, stay connected to the sensation of the skin in the palm of your hand while I take the palm of your hand and bring it to my nipple or my clit or the back of my knee
my side
or
of my hip,
side. Yeah.
or my side boob or
Yes.
against my lower
My
back
neck.
or
Yeah.
just my thigh. Like,
exactly.
and then it's sometimes people, it's kind of like driving the driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to drive the driver.
Mhm.
And that needs to be a really slow, but it can be such a deeply healing process. And it's a practice that cultivates trust. And many of us, if not all of us, have been wounded on the path to love.
Fuck yeah.
And we have to do some like recovery at times. And sometimes we've been wounded on that path to love with the person who still sleeps in our bed every night.
So true.
And we don't have to like throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we have to learn how to turn towards each other and create a new map. And this is what I just see so much in couples therapy. That's just so painful. We get so stuck, but we have to change our mindset again and to be curious and to go slower and to be patient. And so let's talk about like that patience. Let's talk about like the partner who feels pretty shut down, who's feeling trust issues, who can't just jump into sex anymore. They need to go slower. And you're that partner that's like, yeah, but I'm hungry. I've been starving for years. And you want me to go slower? I feel like all we do is take things off the table. We've been taking shit off the table for years. I'm so tired of taking shit off the table. I just want my dick wet. Or I just want my pussy filled.
Yeah.
Like whatever the case may be. And it's like, so what if, even if you're not having penetrative sex, you're getting yourself off and your partner is taking you in your pleasure? Who says that you have to go unsatisfied? You know, can you support each other experiencing your get off, even if you're still participating, but maybe you're not having penetrative sex right now, but you can still be there and practice attunement and practice going slow, you know, all those things. It's like we're so all or nothing.
Yeah. Rather than like going off and masturbating on your own
by ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Rather than isolating and keeping your sexuality buried in secrecy and the shame.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to get curious, get playful, go outside of your comfort zone. Look, we all grow the most when we're outside of our comfort zone. Is it comfortable? No, that's the point. Like we need to push ourselves a little bit to explore so that we can expand and grow.
Yeah. And I think this is what like I've really been sort of meditating on. If sex isn't something that you do, but it's somewhere you go, then it's like it's a turning towards each other and going on a journey. It's not about doing it and getting the job done.
Right.
It's not about like, okay, it's a goal. It's kind of like, oh, we're taking a vacation. We're taking a siesta, even though it sounds like a nap. It's really like, yeah, but we're transitioning.
A fiesta.
Yeah, a fiesta. That's better. Siesta, fiesta. We're going to enjoy this.
We're going to have a fiesta and then a siesta.
Fiesta, then a siesta. I mean, well, what? I can't think of anything better to do.
Right. Who needs it? It's free.
Yeah. And I think it goes so well with this idea of foreplay begins after that last orgasm because it changes how you text each other. It changes how you caress each other when you're passing in the hallway. It changes how you serve each other a meal. It changes how you sit with each other on the couch. It changes how you hold hands when you're taking a walk. It changes the conversations that you have, and it changes where you have those conversations. And so the other thing I've been really thinking about lately is we as couples tend to go into big routines that get stagnant and boring. That's why we complain about our sex life, is because we get stuck into our routine and we're getting bored and it's not exciting. And then we have that same conversation about how stressed out we feel about our boring sex life. And we have that conversation on the same couch,
in the same
oftentimes
house,
for the same amount of time with the same
every
fight.
weekend. Yeah.
And
when you have time.
I heard it proposed of like, change where you're having the goddamn conversation.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Because then maybe your conversation might change. Maybe you'll have more curiosity. Maybe something inspirational can come. Maybe there'll be more gratitude. Like maybe have that conversation out in nature. Maybe sit at a park bench because you're not going to get in a fight on the public bench where there's people walking by. Maybe have it in the club, you know, where there's music and you've got a cocktail. And your inhibitions
maybe not
can
with
drop.
alcohol. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
It depends. Depends on you guys.
Well, maybe if you get drunk and you start fighting, that might not work for you, but maybe it would. I mean, who's to say?
Yeah, you got to
I
find
think
your
a
own
little
flow.
cocktail might loosen me up a little bit.
Oh, it definitely would, Leah Piper. Little Miss, she likes her cocktails. She gets loosey-goosey. You guys should see Leah drunk. Leah drunk is just delightful.
Well, it's
a total pleasure and joy.
You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes if Leah drunk will provide you with a grumpy stump. Other times it'll provide you with a happy tree. But you don't know, is it a happy tree or a grumpy stump?
Hilarious.
Both are
great. Yeah.
Actually.
Okay, back to you guys.
Yeah. Back to like changing where you have a conversation.
Yeah. Changing where you have it and also how you have it. Like instead of just diving into your grievances and what's not working, like setting up more of like a ritualistic, just like we do in Tantra, like sit down, maybe go to the park, have a little food, a little picnic, whatever. And then light some candles. Bring a candle, even if it's the middle of the day. Light the candle. And just by lighting that candle, you're symbolizing to you and your partner, okay, we're stepping into a more intentional space here. And then share your intention. My intention for this conversation that we're about to have is to get closer to you, is to open things up, is to shift what we've been doing for so long and stop having these same arguments over and over again so that we can find our way to deeper, more lasting intimacy. You know, your partner shares their intention, and you can even do your BFDs, your big fucking deals, which are your boundaries, fears, and desires. My boundaries are, I'm not willing to have a fight in this park. You know, my fear is that this conversation might not take us anywhere and keep us spinning in the old pattern that we're always spinning in. But my desire is to end in a cuddle here on the grass.
Right.
You know,
is to feel closer to you.
Yeah.
I think too, like changing location where you are actually having sex. Try your closet.
Or your laundry room.
A closet can be really fun. Or your laundry room. Yeah. Like try the bathroom. Try any
the back
other
of the car.
room than your bed. Try the guest bedroom. Try your kids' fucking bedroom. They won't know. You're in charge of washing the sheets. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like they're at school.
That's right.
You know, like for crying out loud, do it outside.
Change it
under
up.
A blanket. Feel how naughty it is. You know, like women in particular need a little more taboo with our sex. We need a little bit of danger. We need a little bit of like, oh my God, could we get caught right now? We need a little bit of put your hand up my skirt underneath the table at a full table. You know, doesn't mean you're going to actually finger us, but at least give us the threat that you might.
Right.
You know, like there are things like women need engagement when it comes to their erotic mind, because we aren't as visual about sex as teenage boys are. And that usually carries men well into their old age. Like we need to feel some of that static around sexual energy. And so your hunger can be something that we really need, especially if we haven't felt your hunger in a long time. Now there's other women who also are like, I am so sick of his hungry ass, you know, like I need him to like get his hunger off of me. That's a different problem. I can tell you though, for a woman who is irritated by his hunger, going slower will change that irritation. Usually it's because his hunger is too fast and it's too engulfing. Slow it down. Again, build more of that anticipation. And the same is true when we switch genders, because there are lots of men who find that their partner's sexual hunger is engulfing and too much and is wanted all the time. And they're not connected to their own hunger to want to keep providing it. And they find their partner's hunger burdensome.
Now we've talked about the value of slow sex. Like, let's tell you a little bit about what you can do, how you can actually implement it.
Yeah. So how does one have slow sex? You know, we've already talked about sex can start, if we stop thinking about sex as penetration only, Sex can be those text messages. Sex can be how you hold hands. Sex can be how you sit next to each other on the couch, how you hold each other. Sex can be putting your head in your partner's lap and looking up at them. Sex can be how you rub your partner's feet and then crawl to their ankles and then up their calves and then up to their knees and then their inner thighs. Sex can be you're watching a movie, it's getting kind of bored. One of you gets down on their knees, opens their thighs, and then lays their head against one thigh and just waits and feels the tension of someone's head being very close to someone else's crotch. And then you just wait and see how your partner's hips start to tilt and move. What happens to their hands as they start to thread them through your hair to the back of your neck? Like this is these are the things that come to my mind when I think about how would I seduce someone by going slower.
You're talking a lot about anticipation, and it's so funny because in so many places in our life, anticipation can drive us fucking crazy, right? But then in sex, it can drive us fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, the anticipation of it, the threat of it, the tickle of it, the tease of it is a huge part of the sex itself. And so start to drink those moments in as sex, start to view those moments as sex rather than this is just, a little bit of foreplay to get to sex.
Yeah. Another thing that I like that slows things down is to both people to get naked and then to rub each other down, like by starting with someone on their belly. So all their front bits, you're not tempted to go straight to tits and genitals. Instead, they're laying on their belly. And so you caress their back and you take the tension out of their shoulders and you slowly caress along the sides of their ribs and down their waist and down their hips. One of the ways that you can take a massage from being like a therapeutic massage and make it into a sensual massage is all about long, slow, conforming touch. And when I mean conforming touch, what I mean by that is you use the fullness of your hand, fingertips, fingers, palm, heel, everything, and you allow it to take the shape of somebody's body. So when you're rubbing someone, you're not rubbing them with the heel of your hand. It's a full-handed caress and it's really slow, and you use your hands to really trace the shape of the body part, and then you lengthen that touch. So you go maybe from the shoulder down the sides of the waist, down the hip, down the outer thigh, down past the knee, past the calf, all the way down to the foot. So however you can stretch and elongate that caress, you make it as long and as slow as possible. That's what makes a massage sensual. And there's lots of people who do not touch sensually. It's like they're like, where are you? You're just squeezing?
Yeah.
Squeezing isn't sensual.
Pressing? Yeah. Pressing isn't sensual. Yeah. And the other thing too, when you're doing sensual massages, you want to think about your forearm as an extension of your hand. You want to think about your upper arm as an extension of your hand. You want to think about your breasts as an extension of your hand. Like, your pecs as an extension of your hand. Like, I like to think when doing sensual massage, I like to think about paintbrushes, and so what am I going to dip into the paint, which is the oil, and what am I going to paint, so I'll use my nipples as a paintbrush. I'll use my palm of my hand or my fingertips. I'll use sometimes my ear. I'll use
or your hair,
my foot as a paintbrush on someone's booty, and that feels really good. Your hair dripping across somebody. I mean, there's so many. And then if you want to take sensual massage into more fun and more play, think about what kind of implements you might want to use, like feathers, pearls, pinwheels. What else do we like to use?
I like to take a silk scarf with tassels and drape that over someone's body and just with micro movements slowly drag it across their skin.
Everyone
and even
loves
just
that.
Lay your whole body on somebody's back and just move and writhe and just, feel the little arches and angles and tilts and pivots and micro movements you can do with all these other angles in your body, pressing up against their angles of their body. But it's really lovely to just let somebody without having to give back. It's
Yeah.
just their turn to receive. You have them on their tummy and you touch every inch of the backside of their body. And when you get close to like the crack of the ass, or you tickle the back of the testicles, or you tickle the back of the vulva, that's just bringing a little more sparks. But then you take that like paint, like Willow said, and then you paint those sparks to another part of the body, like maybe the calves. Wherever there's a flexible joint, there's a lot of sensation. So we've got extra nerve endings in our joints. So think wrists, elbows, knees, ankles, sides of the waist, behind the ears, sides of the neck, curves of the breast,
The
curves of
chakras
the groin,
also have a lot of sensitivity to them. So
both
all
front and
those
back.
all those bends that Leah's pointing to as well, elbows and wrists, flexible joints, there's a bunch of acupuncture points in each one of
Right.
those flexible joints. And so that's one of the reasons that it is so sensitive and so tender. Like you could try sucking on somebody's inner epicondyle, which relates to heart 3, a really important
She's pointing
point
to her inner elbow.
that translates to opening the heart. Like you could suck on it, you could bite it, you could nibble it, you could kiss
Blow
it,
on it.
blow on it, lick it, whatever, rub your nipple on it. Like just get creative and see what happens to that person who's receiving. When somebody is just receiving, it allows them to access something about their sexuality that they can't otherwise access, because otherwise they're busy trying to reciprocate. They're busy
Right.
trying to give back. So there's this place that they go in their brain, that we all get to go in our brain when we're in receiving, where we get to just really, I feel like a huge part of it is experience our self-worth. Just like, wow, someone's just giving to me just because they want to, or just because that's the organization of what we're doing right now. And it really allows somebody to experience their full authentic essence and the deep sense of worthiness that they carry inside of them just by existing, that they don't have to give back, that they don't have to reciprocate in order to be worshiped.
Yeah. And then I think too, like once you've spent, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes on someone's back, then maybe it's your turn to receive on your back. And then you flip and then you do each other's fronts and you just allow the process to be a little bit slower. You awaken the whole body. And I know some of you are thinking, Jesus Christ, I don't have that long to have sex. My life is bananas. We got kids. I don't need them walking in the door. There are more important ways to restore yourself than just sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And what you prioritize shows what you value.
Mm-hmm.
We say we love each other, but then we don't really make time for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we just expect that we won't grow apart. Look, you can look at the divorce rates. It's pretty easy to grow apart because we make other things way more important than staying connected. And so if you want the kind of relationship that I think most of us dream of, when we're looking for a relationship, we are dreaming a dream. And then 10 years later, we've got it and we have completely lost touch with that dream.
Right.
Everything about survival becomes more important. And we forget that actually part of our survival is connected to this person too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way that we get to
the
thrive.
dream.
Yeah. Let's go beyond surviving, please. And let's see
Yeah.
where we can go when we're thriving.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this episode is giving you a little bit of inspiration and maybe some food for thought on how you could slow things down and make them maybe less stressful, more interesting, maybe give you a mindset shift, helping you get creative and noodle over. Yeah, what if foreplay starts at the end of the last orgasm?
I love that so much. One thing that I want to add before we kind of wrap things up is I was driving the other day and I was like, boy, that person is confused. They were going very slow and they were like, this lane, that lane. They couldn't figure out middle of an intersection. Everyone behind them was honking and putting pressure on them to hurry the fuck up and figure it out. And they were just so clearly like confused, right? And so in my mind, I was like, okay, when we're confused, we should all slow down. We should all go slower. Whether we're talking about, I'm confused about if I want to be in this relationship or not. Okay, good time to slow down. Or I'm confused about if I like this or not. If I like this sexually, if this is turning me on or not. That's a good time to slow down as well. If you're in traffic, it's a good time to slow down, and there's just all these opportunities to be confused in our world right now because we have so much choice. We have so much different things, directions we could go, so many opportunities. And a lot of it's at our fingertips. And so it's a really good practice to slow down in your sexuality, and you'll notice that it slows you down in every other sector of your life and allows you to actually live a more tantric life where you're actually in presence and in union with everything that you're doing. You know, whether you're in the line at the grocery store or, you know, having sex with your partner, like it's all an opportunity to be in union. And it does require attunement, and that attunement's often, especially if you're not well practiced at being attuned with yourself and other, takes slowing down.
Yeah. You can't get there without slowing down because you're paying attention to sensation inside of you. And then you're also reading what's happening empathetically in your partner. How are they breathing? You know, where are they closing? Where are they opening? Are they laughing? Are they complaining? You know, we've got all these like overt cues, but also nonverbal cues that we are broadcasting all the time, giving people information on what's going on with us. And I also want to bring this as maybe a closing message, is that when we make the goal of sex orgasm, we are often missing the boat to orgasm. If we make sex about love, and that doesn't mean that person you have to be in love with them, but you have loving intentions for them. You want to have a loving experience, you know, with someone. It doesn't have to be all in love. But when you make the experience about having like a loving, hot, ravishing experience, whatever it takes, if the element of love is in there, all the orgasms follow. And you can kind of you can stop stressing out on everyone coming.
Mm-hmm.
If you just are in the spirit of having a delicious, loving experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say, make it about love and the orgasms will follow.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. See you soon.
See you on the flip
Share,
side.
like, and subscribe.
Please.
We
Ding,
love
ding,
you.
ding.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was hosted by Tantric Sex Master Coach and Positive Psychology Facilitator Leah Piper, as well as by Chinese and Functional Medicine Doctor and Taoist Sexology Teacher Dr. Willow Brown. Don't forget, your comments, likes, subscribes, and suggestions matter. Realize this new world together.
Hey guys, what would it be like if you could last 10 times longer when you're having sex?
We are going to teach you how to gain massive confidence as a lover, all without performance anxiety, gimmicks, or prescription.
This course is perfect for you if you've ever been mortified by a sexual encounter that ended way too early.
Or if you've ever avoided intimacy out of fear that you won't last as long as your lover desires. Or maybe you long to give your partner multiple orgasms but can't last long enough to make that a reality.
Well, good news, we've got your back. And it's in our course, Last 10 Times Longer. Go to sexreimagined.com/last-10x-longer.
And for all of our favorite listeners out there, we are giving you a discount, 20% off, y'all. Just put in podcast 20, all caps, podcast 20, to get your 20% off of this phenomenal course that you're going to want to review more than once.
We cannot wait to see you inside this course. Plus, don't forget, we always got tons of bonuses. See you there.